Welcome to another edition of RCE. Again, this is Brock Palen. You can find us online at rce-cast.com. You can find all of our Twitters, the blogs, and all of the back episodes, back all the way to episode number 1 on the website there. You also be sure to stop by iTunes, leave us a comment, subscribe. There's an RSS feed on the site. You can find everything you need on there. If there's a contact form, if you have recommendations or anything you'd like to get a hold of us about. I also have, again, Jeff Squyres from Cisco Systems and one of the authors of OpenMPI. Jeff, thanks again for your time.
Hey, Brock. Hey, funny thing, it still feels like it's 2013. Why is that? Feels like it's early October 2013. Why does it feel like that this morning? Do you know?
It's because we are repeating a recording of a show, and we're going to have to thank our guests very much for taking more time out for this. I screwed up, and their audio got recorded all distorted terribly, so we're having to do everything over
again. We need to clarify this. You were attacked by a stampede of wild boars, and they destroyed your laptop and the recording. That's what happened. That's our story.
Well, someone needs to destroy my laptop. If it's bulls, I don't care, but the truth is I screwed up, so we can move on from there. So why don't you go ahead and introduce our guests?
Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it, especially since we're doing this a second time. First time in RCE podcast history that we've had to re-record an episode, so we appreciate it. So, gentlemen, I wonder if you could introduce yourself so people can hear what your voices are.
Hi, I'm Sven Breuner. I'm leading the Fraunhofer Parallel File System development team.
And hi, I'm Mohrbacher. I'm one of the developers of the Fraunhofer team. So we work together on that parallel file system. Yeah, that's
cool.
it.
All right, and so this morning, as you can tell by what they just said, we're going to be talking about the Fraunhofer Parallel File System. So I wonder... we've made this joke many times before. Brock and I are ugly Americans, and we pronounce things terribly. How was I even close by saying Fraunhofer?
Yes, pretty much. Very good.
Close enough. Okay, so I wonder if you could give us what's the 2-minute overview. What is the Fraunhofer file system?
So the Fraunhofer file system is a parallel file system, first of all. So the basic idea is, of course, that you can not only aggregate capacity of multiple servers, but also performance of multiple servers, of course. And it's a network file system in that sense. So you mount it anywhere on your compute nodes, for instance, and simply get access to pretty fast storage, depending on the underlying hardware, of course.
So looking online, it looks like there's a Fraunhofer GFS. How is that related to what we're talking about here?
Yeah, that's a common misunderstanding because we call it FhGFS. People think that the G is something separate, but in fact, FhG is the abbreviation of Fraunhofer Gesellschaft, so Fraunhofer Society in English. So FhG is just Fraunhofer. And then it's just an FS appended.
Okay, so if I see FhGFS or Fraunhofer GFS and FraunhoferFS, they're all talking about the same piece of software.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so there's a lot of, probably, at least in the States, better known parallel file systems out there. Luster, PVFS, GPFS, PanFS. How does Fraunhofer GFS distinguish itself from these existing offerings?
Yeah, you're right. Of course, there were other file systems when we started back in the days, back in 2005 actually. But we think they were all lacking, let's say, a combination of things that were important for us. So one is we're an HPC department, so we have a really clear focus on high performance. So the most important thing for us is that you can just get your job done as quickly as possible, right? The file system is just a tool and it should just allow you to get your job done. The other thing is that we really want to have the file system flexible. So, of course, if you can't use the file system in your environment, then it's useless to you, right? And the third thing that's really important for us is that the file system should be really easy to use. So it shouldn't be a pain to use the file system, right? It's just a tool. You want to get your job done. And the file system should just install and run in the background and do its job.
Now, you mentioned high performance there. Is that a distinguishing feature from these other ones? Or, forgive me, I am actually kind of an idiot when it comes to file systems, and I don't know a whole lot about them. Are the others performance challenged, or are you defining performance differently?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I would like to avoid comparing directly to specific other parallel file systems, because I wouldn't want other parallel file system developers, right, to to compare directly to FhGFS, because they are no FhGFS experts, and I'm not an expert for any other parallel file system. But from the publicly available information, you see that they are not really that focused on high performance like we are. Right? They all have long feature lists. Some features might work well, some not so, and some have a high impact on performance, of course. So for us, performance is always a really, really important thing. And people like that about FhGFS.
So some of the parallel file systems out there, they either run in user space and use Fuse for a client, or they require kernel patches, or at least some sort of heavily modified kernel. What does it require to get Fraunhofer up and running on a system?
So basically, you talked about things like Fuse modules and client and kernel patches and all that stuff. So we do not have any of these. To be honest, in fact, in the beginning we started with a Fuse module, but we saw that this has major performance impacts. So we went to just a strict kernel module, which registers itself in the kernel, but you do not need any patches for that. So it's completely patchless. You just have to compile it against your running kernel. We support, I think, every kernel to 6.16 up to the latest vanilla. So you're not restricted to using anything special. You can just use the kernel of your choice, the version of your choice. The server side itself is completely user space, so you're pretty flexible there. You do not need to patch your kernel to get the server side running. You don't need to stick to any specific kernel. You do not even need to have a specific Linux flavor or something like that. So basically we have packages for Red Hat, SUSE, Debian, and all of the derivatives, but we can also run on any other Linux distribution like Slackware, Gentoo, or whatever you can imagine.
So you mentioned that you're a computer science shop. Does that mean that this is a research project, or are you aiming this at production clusters? What is the goal with this file system?
So the goal is to get this to production customers. We sell support for that. We have it out in the market. It is production ready since 2008. So we have it in production since 2008. The first publicly available version was 2009. In the beginning, it was just for us to have it because we had the need for a parallel file system for some of our applications, and we had to look at all the parallel file systems out there. And those that we had to look at, they just did not satisfy us because they did not deliver the performance we need, and they were complicated, and you had to do all kinds of stuff to get it working. And that was just not what we wanted to have. We wanted to have a parallel file system that just delivers the performance we need and just is flexible and easy to use. So no fumbling around with kernels and all of that. Just have it in place, have it running, and it just does what it's supposed to. And then back in 2009, we just decided, okay, it's a product now, we can get it to the market and let other people use it.
So it sounded like you covered the history there a little bit. Can you elaborate maybe on what your application use case was, or also you said that it was production